You got a prison record now?
Yeah. The first night in prison, I remember when the door shut. I remember sitting there, asking myself, who's going to look after my family? I just felt, my life's over now. I have a conviction. I'm in prison. No one's going to forgive me. No one's going to give me an opportunity. But I wanted to change. Not just for myself, but most importantly, for my family.
So even when you went to prison, she still didn't give up?
No, she still backed me when I was in prison. She stood by me. I go into prisons now to give talks because I know if I can change one adult's point of view in life, I might be saving a kid's dream.
You're quite violent over those years?
Very violent, yeah. I was happy when someone started something. I was delighted. I was like, lovely. I get to vent this negativity onto someone else.
Ger Redmond, it is an honour to have you here on the Modern Warrior podcast. And what an absolute warrior I have in front of me today. A man who has gone through incredible amounts of trauma and pain and destruction in your life to come out on top. And now you're in a position where you're inspiring other people to live more peacefully. To start with, I sort of want to go back to the broken foundations in your life. If you were to sit here and reflect back on your childhood, is there a certain memory that sticks out or lingers that you feel was possibly one of the more significant experiences in your life that caused the pattern of destruction that led in your life?
First of all, thanks for having me on. Really appreciate being on. It's great for me to use this platform as to raise awareness around, stuff that we're going to talk about today. And I think it's very important that we do that. So thanks for giving me that platform. Not one thing doesn't stick out about, I suppose, probably is one thing. I did witness a man getting shot at the age of 10. So that always sticks out with me. I grew up in Darndale, North County Dublin, and that's something I witnessed at an early age. So that does stick out, obviously for obvious reasons. But no, there was a lot of stuff in my life that would have stuck out, and that's just one thing. But that wasn't in my home; that was outside of the home. But that was the environment I grew up in. Not that was normalised, do you know what I mean? But I seen a lot of stuff I shouldn't have seen as a kid growing up.
A lot of violence, a lot of
violence, a lot of robberies, more like a lot of domestic violence, within the home. A lot of bullying then. I used to get bullied on the bus because I used to wet myself because my father I was in fear of my father. My father was a bully and I was in fear of him, and he would beat my mother up, occasionally. And I'd have to watch from the corner of the stairs, helpless, not knowing what to do. Then I was in fear of going to the toilet because if they caught you on the stairs, you'd be chased back up and given a slap. I was in fear then of going to the toilet, so I used to wet the bed. Now, not actually, I'd be in my sleep wetting the bed, but because I didn't go to the toilet. And then when I woke up, I'd be told, sure, it's your fault. There's your punishment. Go to school. People will slag you. And if you don't want to be given stick, then don't be wetting the bed. I remember going on the coach and people pointing at me and me sitting on my own. That would have had a big impact in my life as a kid. So them things, I suppose, would stick in my mind. How you can send your kid to school with the smell of them. Like, I have a son now, and I've 4 daughters and a young boy, and there's no way on earth we would send any of them kids to school neglected or feeling, like they, that they wet themselves, that they have to go to school with that burden on them.
That they are also to blame for that, as you were made to believe that it was your fault, and you carry that burden of blame with you as well.
Absolutely. Like, the last thing I wanted to do was wet the bed. Do you know what I mean? And it was always the thing I done. And I remember I used to wake up going, fuck. I'd be fuming because I knew what was coming, So it was like a double whammy. And then you were faced with then being sent out onto that bus. And I remember waiting on the bus, like just dreading that bus turning up, hoping I got a punch or that it broke down, and obviously then having to face that then. So that would have been my early, I suppose, thoughts and early years, growing up. That would have been. Now look, I found then soccer. I found a family through soccer because I hadn't got that at home. my home was cold. Not only cold, with no heating, but cold emotionally. There was no emotions within the home. There was no love.
Were you ever hugged or held as a child? Do you remember? Or
I was when my mother was drunk. She used to hug me and tell me she loved me, but that never meant nothing to me. Do you know? It was always fake. But look, that was her trying to deal with her emotions. And my mother had a lot of her own trauma, so I don't hold any resentment towards my mother today, or I did for a long time, but I've come to peace with that, and I understand she had a lot of trauma, and then when you take drink, it gives you that false confidence. So it's probably something she always wanted to do, and she just hadn't got that
capacity to
the strength to do it. So I get that, but that still affected me. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, no, I would have only when she was drunk. My father wouldn't have. No, I would have never got any love or emotional support there.
Mm-hmm. So then, what was life in that home like for you? I mean, did you find yourself in a very lonely disposition all the time? Was it very much you on your own, or did you have support from your siblings, or did you have a lot of friends, or what was that like?
So my cope mechanism, as I know now, was soccer. So I used to love playing soccer because I felt part of a family, and I got really good, and I got confidence from it, and self-confidence from it, and self-worth. Sport has played a massive role in my life. So yeah, soccer. I loved the ball.
Did that start on the street and then later transfer to a pitch, or?
Yeah. So yeah, I would have started on the street, just kicking the ball around with the lads from the local area, and then would have transferred down onto a pitch. And look, I became a really, really good soccer player, and I don't know whether it's because I'm a skilled man, or because I was born with a talent, or because this was a cope mechanism and I used it to the full extent. You know what I mean? I took advantage of it, and that's how I became so good. It's like you take up something, you put the work in, and you become really good at it.
There's also the praise and the reward and the validation you receive from that too, that you weren't getting at home.
Yeah, absolutely. And
a sense of belonging.
And a lot of the time I would have been looking for them affirmations from other people and would have loved it. When you score a goal, you'd be looking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is, because you're not getting it at home, then you're looking for the validation elsewhere. But I remember, even as a young kid, I think I was 14, I made it for the Dublin team. Well, actually, I had a trial for the Dublin team and went down to Malloy Park, had to get the bus down. I think. Couldn't get a lift, had to get the bus down. I remember going down, and I remember playing for the Dublin team and scoring and getting the call up, because they called the names out at the end of the match. So there's 30 or 40 lads there, and I was one of them that was picked to go and represent Dublin in the Kennedy Cup in Limerick, which is a big cup for under 15s, massive tournament. And I remember I had to walk home because I had no bus fare to go home. And I remember going into the house and telling my mother and father, I made it for Dublin. And it was just like a fucking letdown at me. I was waiting for this big, wow, well done, which you would do. If my son now made it for Dublin, I'd be over the moon. And I was expecting that when I walked in the door, because I was looking to do something massive, because I used to do little things and they wouldn't give me the affirmations, and I thought this would be big enough for them to go, wow, and recognise me. And they were drinking, and there was no recognition about it. And I was like, yeah, that sort of cut me in half,
That was a big driver though, wasn't it? In terms of that path you followed, the soccer, something you were good at, and almost doing all that, perhaps subconsciously, to finally receive some pride from your father, love from your mother, validation from both of them. That was a huge driver for you to do that, because it was something that was an extreme void, an extreme lack in your life. Like, if I do this, then they'll be proud of me, then they'll love me. And that insecurity is a huge driver for many people, has been for many people, and perhaps for yourself too.
Yeah, it's like an added motivation, isn't it? It's like an underlying motivation that you don't even realise at the time. But yeah, that would have been motivating me to get onto that team. Going down to that trial, wouldn't even be to show the managers I was good. It'd be more to go back and tell me mother and father that I'd made it. So I wasn't even trying to impress the managers, although I'd done that anyway. but it would be more to be able to go home and go, I made it. Okay, I've done something good. Look at me, you know. And then to be cut down, I suppose, you learn early on then that, you know, you're sort of on your own here, you know. I had to get different motivation then, you know what I mean? Because
you were 14 at the time?
14 at the time. But like even that, I went and played in that Kennedy Cup, and a club heard about me and came and watched me with my local team, St. Columban's. And the day they came, I scored 10 goals in one game because I knew they were coming. But at that stage, it was what I wanted. You know, I remember I wanted to get out then of my community. I wanted them to try and move on to different pastors, to different country and represent my country. That was my dream then, was to represent Ireland and become a professional soccer player. So I was fixated on that. And I got a lot of inner motivation around that. But again, it was a lot of affirmations even from the club and the coaches and the players and all. I always loved the attention. That's the truth of it. I loved the attention.
Yeah.
But like the manager then knocked down to my house after that, and the scout, and they offered me a trial over in Dunfermline. And like I was off the moon. Like I have to say, it was right or over moment. You know, it was like, wow. I put this work in and now it's finally happening, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was ecstatic, I was delighted, telling everyone in school, couldn't wait for this trial to come up, playing FIFA with Dunfermline, you know, my mate's house, like, it was unreal, you know?
Yeah.
Class.
And then you're with that same team the week after, wasn't it? Yeah.
And then I was with Dunfermline then, yeah. And then I remember, like, I got off the flight, it was on a Saturday, and I got off the flight, they had a match, they were playing Falkirk, and I went down and I got togged out. And they were losing 3-1, and I come off the bench and scored 2 and laid up the winner. Like, and that was like, for me, that was like, wow, you know, like that was, I suppose when you go over, you're like, I hope I play well, I hope I do this, because if I play well, I have a chance. But I knew when I walked off that pitch, I was getting signed up, you know. I just had that confidence. I was like, they're definitely signing me, you know. Wonderful confidence, like, you know, within myself, to be able to say that. There's no doubt about this, that they're going to want me now, you know what I mean? I had a lot of confidence around the soccer, a lot of confidence, and it did shine outside of it as well. So that was my love, do you know what I mean?
And what was the social aspect like for your life at that point? Because you talked about going to school, smelling the piss, being bullied, having all these, of course, extremely challenging circumstances with these other kids. So did becoming successful in soccer then change how people seen you, or people approached you, or people
like that was in primary school when I was sent to school and the piss and all. And then once I got sort of into secondary, I sort of was, you know, it wasn't as bad then. I didn't really I did the odd time, but I didn't wet the bed as much because, you know, I had a control over myself. I was able to not drink after a certain time, 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, I wouldn't touch anything.
And the house is still in absolute chaos now at this stage.
The house is still in chaos at that stage. You know, yeah, it wasn't as much as it was when I was in primary, but it was still in chaos, you know. It was still, every week, there was problems every week, like something smashed or be no food bar, my mad go and get the messages and won't come home, and you know, just constant fucking.
Alcohol was a thing every day.
Yeah, not every day. It'd be more 3 or 4 times a week. Do you know what I mean?
From both of them.
Yeah, it'd be like payday. You know, it'd be like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They wouldn't have the money to drink Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay.
And then they'd be back on it again, and that was just a continuous thing. There was no consistency in my house at all. You couldn't come home and go, I know I'm going to get a dinner when I go home. I know I'm going to get lunch. You'd be sent to school with no breakfast. You know, I remember even in the secondary school, like you'd be on your lunch and you'd have no lunch. Other people be eating, you know what I mean? Like that's not right, you know what I mean? For a kid to be enduring that and no money to get lunch.
I'm reminded of my conversation with Katrina Sullivan there a few weeks ago, and she of course came from extreme poverty as well, and she talked about her difficulties of going to school, and similar to yourself, she was smelling the piss and bullied and having difficulties with the whole schooling system. But she also found some good people during those years that really helped her out, some good teachers, and had a very positive impact on her life and on her identity. Did you find people like that along your journey?
I did. I found good friends of mine, like I've good mate Darren Murphy and Mick Keogh, and they were good mates of mine that would always be there for me throughout my school years. Then I had a school teacher, Joe Vaughan, which always pulled for me. I used to get kicked out of school, suspended, because I was reacting through trauma or whatever. So I'd be just like, couldn't study, I couldn't be in maths class, or be in, well, in fairness, he was the maths teacher, so I used to let me away with it. But I'd be in class, I couldn't comprehend what you were talking about. So it was easier for me to get thrown out of the class, you know. But he always got me back, always understood, had empathy around it. And
what about the other teachers then that maybe didn't show as much empathy, or perhaps quite critical, and
yeah, I mean,
punished you when you were already hurting?
Yeah, I mean, they would just send you to the yearheads office, you know what I mean, let them deal with you. But I suppose them people, were probably thinking they didn't want me disrupting the class because there was other kids needed to learn, which I get that as well, you know. But I suppose there should be an intervention somewhere where someone had an idea what was happening.
Did you hate school?
I just hated it because I was uneducated. I didn't know how to. Yeah, I was bad at education, you know. That's why I didn't like it. But I loved the sports element of it. Yeah. You know, so, and I loved being part of school, going to school and meeting people. But when I came to doing tests, oh God, yeah, I'd be cheating and all sorts.
Okay.
I just couldn't do the test. Like, no matter what I done, I just always cheated.
Yeah. So school maybe just didn't suit you, but then you found something you were good at outside of school, which was the soccer. And then was there certain coaches there as well that inspired you along?
Not really, no. Like, I had coaches within the area, but not really, no. It was just a local football team. Didn't really inspire me. I mean,
you're just part of the team. There was no...
Yeah, there's no really inspiration.
Special treatment given to you as such?
No. It was just Tuesday, Thursday. People who were just dads in the area coaching didn't really have a clue what you were at, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is grand, like, but yeah, I didn't really have any sort of... The Dublin team, I suppose, that setup was a bit more professional, and they were able to nurture the talent I had. And yeah, it was through them. But look, I'm very grateful playing for Columbans. I mean, it was through them I got the trial, you know. And they were there for me when I needed them, I suppose.
So then you ended up in Dunfermline, and
yeah,
what happened over there?
Went to Dunfermline. I was playing there for a good 6 months, I think it was. Flying me trade, got YTS youth training scholarship, signed a 2-year contract. Delighted. I was getting paid to play football. Like,
what age are you now? 16, 17?
Yeah, 15 or 16. Yeah, about 16 now. Playing over there for a couple of months, and then like, I was playing Celtic, I was playing Rangers youth, you know. I was doing ball boy at East End Park, which is Dunfermline's ground, for the likes of when Rangers were coming and Celtic. We were doing ball boy. It's class, like.
And so then you're living with other players, or you're living within a facility, or what's it like over there? I'm
living on top of a pub in an attic.
Okay.
But one of the youth managers owns the pub. So I'm living on his Apex type thing. And he's feeding me.
And now you're being looked after.
Yeah, I'm being fed, being looked after. There's a cleaner, cleans my room, you know. Yeah. Getting paid, getting the bus to school from East 5. Oh, not the school to
the pitch, yeah.
To the pitch, to the East End Road. But like, it was great, washing boots, doing the normal things, like an apprenticeship type thing. And then I got a call one day to say my father had committed a crime. And that then I had to go to the coaches then and ask them could I go back and just see if was everything all right. Went home, and like, that was sort of the start of my, you know, there was the start.
Spiral.
Yeah, that was. I didn't realise I was going to go down a deep dark hole. You know, a hole with no light for many years. I went home then. Like, my father was in custody at this time. My mother then was, drinking with people on the road, and I had 4 brothers and sisters under the age of 10. My older sister was probably 17 at this stage, and then my mother left home a month later.
Left home with
no
father there either.
Yeah, no, my father was in prison at this time. She left home, left myself, my sister with 4 kids under the age of 10. That left me with 2 options. I could go back over and become a professional footballer and, you know, I suppose be selfish in a sense, or whatever way you want to look at it, or stay home, be the man of the house. And I obviously stayed home, or I wouldn't be here having this chat. But look, at that put me on the wrong road in life. It really did. And I don't regret doing that, to be honest with you. I don't regret doing it. I think it had to be done.
Did you regret it for a period of time?
I didn't regret it. I just didn't understand it. I didn't understand the emotion I was feeling. I thought I was in a nightmare. I was like, what's after happening here? I went from putting the ball in the back of the net to putting food on the table. And I'm like, just everything taken from me.
And you've no job now, no money coming in. You have to find resources that weren't exactly the healthiest places.
Yeah. So look, I tried to play soccer and I couldn't. Because I loved soccer so much, and it killed me. This did, because I went from loving soccer like your first love. Soccer was to me. It gave me everything: confidence, self-belief. Gave me everything, and anytime, because like some teams then came and tried to sign me, you know what I mean? Local teams and all, and I went playing with them and I just couldn't play. And it killed me because I was a very good soccer player, and these are the players that wouldn't lace me boots. They were better than me now. And that sent me even worse.
What happened?
I just couldn't play. I was just this emotion and this like worry of my family then, and hoping they were all right, and losing my mother and father, and I just couldn't play ball. I just hadn't got the head for it. Head wasn't in it, and this was no longer something that was important to me anymore as such, or I wish it was, but it wasn't, So that hurt me a lot. Took drugs then as a cope mechanism. Took drink because I needed an escapism. I contemplated suicide many a times.
So you're 17, 18 now?
17, 18 now, yeah. Still in school, trying to do my leaving cert as well. Failed my leaving cert. I failed my leaving cert miserably. Couldn't get through that. It was the leaving cert where you had to go in,
So you're compounded with failures during those years as well. Failures with the soccer, something that you were probably are still extremely talented in, and failures at school, and not knowing how to cope with those failures, and you had to find some sort of coping mechanism to make you feel something else.
Yeah, exactly. Just to get away from them feelings of what had just happened, that big wallop of this horror that's just happened to me.
Could you lose both parents too?
Lost both parents, yeah. No, not to death, but my father got locked up and my mother left. So yeah, more or less lost them. And then the more drugs I took, then the more I needed the more addiction I had, the more drugs I needed. And then you're around people, then to fund that habit, then I started to hold stuff, started to do runs for people. And then before you know, then you're deep in and there's no way out. That lasted about 18 years or something. Probably less.
18 years of that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you just gradually got deeper and deeper into the gangs,
and I was okay with it. Like I gave up on life, so I gave up totally on life. So I was just looking to create chaos.
What was your life like at that stage? If you were to give us like a bit of an insight in terms of what your regular day would have been whilst in the midst of that chaos, what was it like?
It was cold and empty. I was walking around empty, head down all the time. My head would have been down all the time. I'd have a scarf on and pull a hood up and just walk around empty.
Taking drugs every day?
Yeah, just delusional, yeah. Smoking cannabis, then drinking, and then taking drugs at the weekend, cocaine. Just constantly, that was my life.
And you're still living at home, having to bear the responsibility of a few of your siblings?
Yeah, in fairness, my sister would have done all that work. I just see myself as a protector. Do you know what I mean? Anything happened, I would protect them. Mm-hmm. That was it. That was the role I sort of took up, but I wasn't present at all. Like,
what were you protecting them from?
Just anything anyone said to them, anyone hurt them or anything,
You're quite violent over those years?
Very violent, yeah. I was happy when someone started something. I was delighted. I was like, lovely. I get to vent this negativity onto someone else. But looking back, it's like terrible. Mm-hmm. It's not something I'm proud of, do you know what I mean? But it's the place I was in at the time. I understand why I was like that. I understand, I'm not too hard on myself, do you know what I mean? Because I understand it. Because I'm on the other side of it now, I understand why I reacted that way. I understand it, how I became that person.
Deep pain.
Yeah, just deep pain. You're lashing out on everyone. Like, I'd be in a nightclub and someone bump on me, I'd give them a thump. And I'd be like, what do you mean? You bumped on me. you get a thump. Is that not? I thought that was normal, you know. It's fucking far from it, like. But just going around aggressive all the time. And when you're in a gang, aggression, when you're aggressive, it's a good thing.
Yeah, you get more respect.
More respect. You make more money. You move up the ladder a lot quicker.
And then you have the sense of belonging as well. Again, there's seems to be a similar pattern here where you didn't belong at home, didn't belong at school, you belonged at soccer, but then the soccer was taken away from you. And then there's this emptiness, this void in your life. And you go, okay, I find this belonging in a gang now, and I'll do what they want me to do, and then I'll get the praise and respect and validation from them, and this feels good. And then the more praise and validation and respect you get, you want more and more of it. Because without that, then you're back into emptiness and void and loneliness.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head there. And that's why I became so good at everything I've done. Like, I was a really good soccer player because, as you said, I wanted more and more. Then when I got into the gang, I wanted that more and more validation, more and more respect. So I became better, and I've done more dangerous things to get more respect. Do you know what I mean? So it was always good at what I'd done, you know? But it was just, you're chasing something that's not real. Do you know what I mean? You're chasing a validation from external stuff that's doesn't really validate you, you know? You'll be chasing it forever.
Yeah.
No one cares. You're just a number. You're just filling a void. Do you know what I mean? You're just there for a reason.
How deep into the gang did you get? I mean, to what extent did you go to with these people? Not to go into too much detail, because you might give some information away, like, that could be used against you. But like, in terms of like, how bad did it get? Like,
deep enough. Do you know what I mean? Enough. Yeah, as you said, I can't go in too deep. Look at deep enough. You know what I mean? Enough to fucking put you away for a long time.
Yeah,
but that way.
Eventually, it did catch up with you.
Eventually, it caught up with me. I ended up getting a prison sentence in 2013. There was drugs found in the house, and
do you have a sense of invincibility when you're in this world, that you can't be touched? That
no, you do know that. Look, you know the risks. You know what I mean? You're not stupid, but when you're filled with drugs, you don't care, and you're misminded. Your mind is just missed. You think you have it all sorted, when you haven't really got a clue. Now, there's a lot of paranoid people in that game, but a lot of them that are good have learned from their mistakes previously, right? So a lot of them that have learned their mistakes won't actually touch anything, won't actually do anything. They're clever enough now. Like, when you learn from a mistake of getting 5 years, that's a big mistake, right? That's a big learning curve, and you don't want to go back there. So that's enough for you to never take risks. So a lot of them would have learned from previous mistakes and are very clever now. That's why they use other people to do that dirty work. So they're like the front line, and then the big lads are at the back. Do you know what I mean? So they're wide enough, they'll manipulate people. And I've done it myself. You manipulate people in the front line, let him do that. So it always looks like they're doing the work, but you're pulling the strings at the back. Do you know what I mean?
You one of the leaders?
Yeah, would have been up there. Yeah, like would have been telling people, you know what I mean, what to do. And yeah, you'd have been orchestrating it to a certain extent. You know what I mean?
Before you were caught, did you get close to being caught before that?
No. I was actually under the radar, believe it or not. When the guards caught me, they were like, didn't even know you were. Do you know what I mean?
You were that good at that too.
But I was good at being, because I was wide enough. Do you know what I mean? I was dead wide at how to do things. You know, I was clever enough, and I wasn't going around throwing my weight around. I wasn't going around wearing certain clothes or buying cars. I was clever. I knew how to manipulate. I was good at manipulating things. You know, because anything I needed in my life, I had to manipulate it. You know, I had to sort of gahoo people, and how will I get that off them? How will I befriend that person? Because I didn't know love, right? I didn't know emotion, so it wouldn't be, I'll just be friends with them, you know, and through friendship, we can create this friendship, and then that will happen. It was like, no, I'll manipulate them. I'll pretend to be their friend. You know, I'll pretend to do something nice for them, but then I'll ask them for that. You know?
Yeah, just a way of getting in there.
Yeah, just I always done that. Even if you had if you had a young flit in mind that you wanted to do something for you, you'd go down and give them something, or you'd say hello to them for a few weeks. You're sort of manipulating them, and then eventually you go, here, do you want a bit of work? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It was always, I was wide at planting seeds with people. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Knowing what was coming. Do you know what I mean? So you plant seeds with 5 people, you get 3.
Yeah, true.
But like, it's just, So
then eventually you get caught.
Eventually I got caught, got 3 year. I got a 3-year suspended sentence, and then that night I thrown away. I got chased, thrown away a gram of coke, and the guards caught me. Put the gram of coke in my pocket, and I got 2 years for that.
They put the gram of coke in your pocket?
I thrown it away.
Okay.
They found it, planted it in my pocket, and I got 2 years for it. And I went, look,
sneaky enough.
Yeah, but I don't hold any resentment towards that. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm actually glad now, looking back. I'm actually glad that was part of my journey.
The wake up call you needed.
Yeah, I'm glad I went to prison. I'm glad I experienced what I experienced. Money can't buy what I experienced, right? And I'm here to live to tell the tale.
Yeah, the lessons. Yeah,
of the lessons I've learned in prison, to be able to go back and tell the kids in Norberstown, other people on the podcast, about the journey. And that is part of the journey. And you don't want to go to Mountjoy. Mountjoy is like, when you go to you're in a Halloween, the fires in Halloween, you throw an aerosol can in and you don't know when it's going to blow. That's Mountjoy, because at any minute, boom.
Okay.
Something gets
cut. Tension.
Oh, you go walking around, someone gets chopped up in front of you. It's a terrible place to be. Mountjoy is. It's what you make it as well, I suppose. Like, if you stay in, there's two ways in Mountjoy. You go and you get educated, you go to the gym when it's available, or you'll end up on tablets, you know what I mean? And you'll end up in the yards and on tablets, and that's the two ways, and you'll end up in debt, and God knows what way you'll end up then. I chose to go the other way.
When you're choosing to go one way, are you often pulled back from people going the other way? Going, oh, who's this guy I think he is? No, it's not really. There is a separation there. There's a understanding of that separation almost.
There is. Once you sort of lay down the law with them, and you have to have poker face going in there. Like, you can't go in there and be sheepish. You have to go in and fucking sort of throw a couple of shapes, you know what I mean? Let people know I'm not taking shit here,
What was it like for you stepping into that prison for the first time?
I was okay with it, because again, I liked chaos. Chaos was my number one thing. I enjoyed, and still to this day when I go into prisons, give talks, I get that buzz, inside me that lights me up. I actually I didn't enjoy going to prison. I'm not making that to be a nice thing, but I liked chaos. So for me to go there was okay.
Well, chaos is all you've known, because that's been your whole life,
based
on your upbringing and the chaotic home that you grew up in. It's that familiarity is comfortable.
Yeah, I was comfortable in it. But in saying that, my first night I cried. I cried because I had done the same thing my father had done on me, and I cursed him for it. And here was me doing it on my kids. So I cried for that. And I was like, the realisation of that hit me, going, you're a hypocrite. You slagged that man for years, saying, look what he done to us as a family, my brothers and sisters, and you're doing the exact same thing to your family. So that seed set with me, and that, I think that seed started growing then. And I was like, I'm a hypocrite. And I hate hypocrites. I'm a believer in, if you're going to say something, you better have done it. Don't talk shit to me, you know what I mean?
You turned into the person that you hated the most.
Yeah, exactly. And, that was a realisation.
And now you have 4 kids at this stage, is it?
4 kids at this stage. 4 girls, yeah.
So on the outside of prison, although you were involved in drugs and gangs, was there still some happiness? Was there still...
Happiness?
Happiness is the wrong word? Maybe still some contentment there that you've got a woman and a few kids?
If it wasn't for my wife, there wouldn't have been anything. She held it all together, She kept a good family, a good loving family. So she was very loving, and she was very good at looking after her kids and trying to bring me back and trying to show me love and trying to show me good traits at Christmas. I hate Christmas, hate birthdays. She would do Christmas runs on Christmas Eve, and I'd have to get involved, and I would hate them.
Cringe.
I would cringe. I'd be like, why are you doing this for? But that's living, isn't it?
It's love, yeah.
That's love, right?
Yeah.
I didn't say it, but she continued to just plant into me, and never gave up on me. Never ever gave up on me, even to this day. She still.
What was that relationship like then? If you were so resistant to love and she was so willing to give it, I mean, was that a difficult relationship at the time?
It was, in a sense, because she wasn't getting what she wanted from me, and I thought I was doing enough, because I was gauging off what my dad done. So I was gauging off a man that had failure, And I thought because I was a little bit better than him, that I was better. And that she should accept that, right?
Yeah.
Do you know?
That was your benchmark of
That was
success.
exactly. Oh, my benchmark was not a good benchmark, right? So I thought, what are you talking about? I'm not paying the bills. I'm not giving you money for whatever. I'm not getting you a car. I'm not paying for the kids. That's not enough, you know? But I thought that was enough because I was benchmarking off a lower tier. You know, and I thought I was right. And that's the sad thing about it. A lot of us out there that have trauma, or we think that we're right in what we're doing and we're so fucking wrong. We're so far off the bat.
Yeah. We're just seeing it from our own destructive lens of our own past and our own trauma.
Absolutely. But in fairness to my wife, like she didn't give up on it, you know. And in fairness, I kept a lot of my stuff away from my family home. Do you know what I mean? Like I sort of separated that life. So when I got home and shut that door, it was a different world compared to when I was outside. You know, I didn't know how to love my wife. I didn't know how to. No, I loved my kids. You see, I gave up on adults. So I had a thing with adults. Adults let me down. So I had a thing with adults, and I was nearly treating my wife like my mother. Do you know what I mean? But my kids, I'd show them love. And my wife would say, "You can show them love. Why can you show me love?" And the only answer I had was because I gave up on adults. And I used to say this, well, look, that's the only answer I have for you. I gave up on adults and I'm treating you like an adult, and that's why I don't have that. I can't open my heart to you. Do you know what I mean? Because in case you hurt me.
So even when you went to prison, she still didn't give up?
No, she still backed me when I was in prison. She stood by me.
What was it like for you in prison to be separated from her and separate from the kids, the people you love the most?
Well, see, I was able to put them out of my mind. I was able to do that. I was able to dissect people and just go, yeah, you're over there now, because I had no emotions. So it was easy for me to just go, you're out of my life for this time period. I'm going to do what I have to do, and then when I get out, then I'll deal with that. So I just pushed them aside and done what I had to do to get through it, because I knew that would make me weak. I wouldn't even put a picture of my kids up in the cell because I didn't want to be weak. So, yeah.
As a protective mechanism too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because you can't be weak in prison, like. But you can be. But at that stage of my life, I was in a gang and all, I couldn't be.
Is there a moment or experience in prison that has stuck with you?
Not really, no.
How would you reflect on prison and your experience there?
Well, look, I say this all the time. Prison, when you go to prison, you lose your freedom. But you actually don't lose your freedom. You lose everything. You lose your dignity, respect, self-worth. There's no help. There's some services. I remember reaching out looking for counselling. I got 2 counselling sessions after about 4 months. And I was looking for help at that time.
How are you treated by the prison guards and the people who are perhaps closest to the prisoners in there?
I'd no issues with no prison guards. That's the truth. I didn't. Or any of the people that worked there. I'd never had an issue. I never caused any issues. You know what I mean? So I'd never had any issues. But I had an issue with the services and the way the place is run. We need to, when people go to prison, they're the most vulnerable people, and I'd say 90% of people go to prison have trauma, and that's what brings them there. And when we get there, we should, in our human rights, be able to reform. You know, it's our right to be able to be reformed in prison, and just the opportunities aren't there. They're not presented. Only 40% of people can avail of education at the minute in prison. They're sharing camper beds at the minute because we're overpopulated. It's 18 months waiting list for services like counselling, psychology, you know, addiction services.
You're saying there's three men to a 1-room cell, is it, at the moment?
2 and 3, yeah. There's 3 in the Limerick, is apparently there's 3, and I know there's 2 in Mountjoy. But we're not bringing the services to match the capacity. I mean, I don't know. It makes no sense. You're sending people there who aren't well, right, due to trauma. Then they're getting there, they're not getting the services, so they're acting out and kicking off, and you're locking them up more. Like, you're punishing people who need help. It doesn't make sense in my head at all. I can't rationalise it at all. Like, I talked about this in Ireland AM there a few weeks ago. You wouldn't. I have a dog, and I swear to God, I wouldn't put my dog in his dog box. He didn't even have a dog box, but I wouldn't lock him up for 4 hours, not even an hour probably. There's kids and adults in there getting locked up, a 22-hour lockup in the bleeding. It makes me sick. Like,
it's just a dark hole, is it? Is that where they go?
I know it's a cell, but like, no one should be locked up that long.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They need help. You're punishing people who are hurt.
You just push them away even more.
Like, and they wonder why the suicide rate is high in the prisons. Like, I have a brother in there, and he's told me the other day there's a fella hung himself in the land. Do you know? Like, it's terrible. They need help.
What's the suicide rate in prisons?
I'm not too sure the stats, but it's high enough. Like, when I was there, it happened as well. Like, do you know what I mean? I remember getting, you get bangs in the wall. So if it happened there, how you send a message in prison, you bang on the wall, then you put your ear to the wall and they'll give you the message, and then you bang on the wall, they put their ear to the wall and you give them the message. So it comes down all around the land. Do you know what I mean? I remember hearing it. I heard it once anyway when I was there, and it's a horrible feeling, because you just feel like you felt like them. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel empty. You're like, I know how they feel. They just done it. I didn't. Do you know what I mean? So
there's a sense of hopelessness. There's no way out. So this is the only way.
Yeah, there's a great poem that I heard when I was in there as a part of it, and it's just on hope. 2 men in jail look out the bars. One sees mud and one sees stars. And that's the bit of hope that people need. Because there's very little hope when you're in prison. Like, you're looking for help and it's not there. You're not getting it, and you feel like you're talking to the wall. You know. Did
you struggle with your mental health in prison? You talked about reaching out to counsellors and not receiving the help you needed.
No, what happened was, it wasn't that I was struggling with my mental health. It was because I was putting too much pressure on me girlfriend at the time. When she wasn't coming up at a certain time, I was giving out an argument on the visit, right? And I knew it wasn't right. I was going back to myself going, I don't want to be spending 10 minutes arguing with her. So I knew that was wrong, and I wanted to change that. That wasn't fair. She was coming up with like 2 kids and, you know, trying to get me stuff and all this, and I was putting a lot of pressure on it. And then she was giving out, going, I'm trying my best, and I'm out there arguing with her for 10 minutes of the bleeding 20 minutes. So I wanted to get counselling on that, to change my mindset around that. And it was more it was more for that reason. I didn't want to be arguing with my missus. I wanted to understand why I was doing that. Do you know what I mean? Because I definitely didn't want to be doing that. But even on the phone, I was giving out. Then I'd come off the phone going, I don't want to do that. I actually don't want to act like that, but I'd no hold over it. Do you know that way? Mm-hmm. Whatever was triggering me, what she was doing was triggering me, and that was making me react. But I didn't want to be that person, so that's why I wanted to get counselling to understand why I was doing that, to see could I get fixed on it.
Were you the prisoner looking at the stars, not looking at the mud?
Yeah, I always seen. I mean, because I had kids and I had a good girlfriend, and I was always going, look, like, I'm gonna get out soon. You know what I mean? I wasn't looking at the negative. Do you know what I mean?
How long did you do in jail?
18 months. So I went from Mountjoy, then I went to the train unit, then I went to an open prison. So I was in an open prison, which is grand. It's obviously it is what it says it is. It's open. You can walk out if you want to. You can literally leg it if you want. It's open.
All right.
Yeah. No doors are locked on. You're in dorms. So I started off in an 8-man dorm, then a 6-man, then a 4-man, and a 3-man I ended up in.
It's almost like a progressive period towards freedom, isn't it?
Yeah. It's getting you used to getting out, really. It's for prisoners who are good, who are looking just to do their sentence, see their families in a better area. Like, there's a lovely picnic area. I was actually working then with a guy from the town. I was able to work with him and earn a few bob. You know what I mean? So it's a good way of integrating yourself back to the community. Mm-hmm. But I'd no plan on going back to work. Like, when I was locked up, like, I just felt my life's over now. I have a conviction. I'm in prison. No one's going to forgive me. No one's going to give me an opportunity. And the community and the people in the community are just going to look at me and go, I pretty much said I was fucked. That's the attitude I had.
You got a prison record now?
Yeah. I was pretty much gave up on planned on getting a job or anything like that. You know, I was like, I'm going to be a criminal for the rest of my life now. And that's the attitude I had getting now. And that's what I do.
So again, this is a lack of hope.
Lack of hope in that way, but I knew I could earn. So it wasn't hopeless. Do you know what I mean?
So when you came out of prison, where did you start to earn?
Start back doing what I was doing when I went back in, back with the same gang, you know, back to where I knew I could make money, because there was no opportunities. There wasn't someone coming to me and going, look, we can get you a good job here. We can do this with you. We can do that with you. Don't be worrying about your conviction. This is not a life that you have to stay in. There is other way out. And this is why I come back and give talks, and I go into prisons and give them other talks that I give in prisons, because there is a way. And I've done lots of things in my life since I got out of prison that I don't even want to do, in terms of jobs, just to prove people you can do it, you know. And it was more to prove. I didn't even want to. Got a taxi license, never used it, just to prove I can get it. Took me 3 years, went to court a few times, persevered, and I got it, you know, because you can make change, but you have to keep knocking on the door. You have to show true change. So don't, people out there using excuses, you know, about this convictions I have and all this. No, you actually can do something with your life if you want, you know. But when I got back out, then I just ended up back in the same gang, ended up doing the same thing.
Were you again back up on top of the ranks?
Yeah, back to where you were. Yeah, back where you left off. Yeah, back where you left off. Couple of things happened, but I was in Amsterdam with a friend of mine. My son Ross was due in October 2016, and we knew it was a boy. We asked, and they thought it was a boy, so we were delighted. And my friend had a boy, and we were in Amsterdam, and he was telling me little things he'd done with his boy, scouts and all that. And he said he went to the doctor and the doctor was going to give him a needle, and the boy, little youngster, wouldn't let him. No, don't touch me. Just, you know, little bonds. And then my friend died 2 weeks later from, he took drugs and died in his sleep. And I remember I was at his funeral, and I was sitting there, and the boy walked over to the coffin, and it was a horrible moment. I'll never forget it. And all the boy wanted was his dad. And I was, like, at that stage, we were like, we're making money for our family. You're trying to justify it, rationalise it. Yeah, I do this because I'm making money for my family, trying to give them a better life. It's all bullshit. Kid wanted love, wanted to just play with his dad, playground, whatever, free. Doesn't cost a penny. And the thing was, we would have gave everything we had, all their prized possessions, to bring him back. So that, I had that realisation of, if I continue on what I'm doing, my son was due in October, my son could possibly walk up to my coffin one day and do exactly what that kid's doing. And I felt if I'd done that, I'm evil. There's actually something wrong. There's an evil person inside me. And I couldn't sit with that. I just couldn't sit with that. I couldn't sit with the fact that my son could walk up to my coffin one day and someone else would sit there watching that. And that was a seed that planted in me.
That's a painful vision there.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Were you still taking drugs at this time as well?
Yeah, we were at that funeral taking drugs.
Were you taking drugs?
Not right there at that minute, but as soon as we went back to the party, back on it. But that seed planted with me that day. I remember it. And I was like, I need to get out of this life. That was the first thing. Then another thing, we got chased by a hit squad up a road after a party. Got chased by a hit squad.
A hit squad?
Yeah, people with guns in the back of a car.
This is another gang?
I don't know who it was, yeah. Another gang, I'm assuming. Got chased up the road, and we were only after coming off a party, so we were coming down. It was fucking horrible. And you know what saved us? We went through a checkpoint. A car had overturned on the road, and there was a checkpoint for that car, whatever had overturned. I don't know what happened. We went through the checkpoint, and that car couldn't. That's what saved our lives.
Fuck.
You know? And I went home after that, and I had to go to a hotel for a few days, like. But like, fuck, that frightened me. That was a frightening experience.
That could have been the bullet that would have killed you.
God knows.
That would have put you in that coffin, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So that was the second thing. And then I got married to my wife. And that was a beautiful day. And, you know, that was me trying to, even though I had no emotions, right? I was trying to do the right thing. Do you know? Like, if I was to marry my wife now, it'd be more beautiful, it'd be more
Doing it for the right reasons, or
yeah,
more loving reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Not that I never did, but I just hadn't got them emotions. But I was doing that because I thought that was the right thing to do. I was trying to change my life. Like, no, I need to change. Or you actually need to do this. This is what men do, you know. So I got married, and then my son was born in October. And then when my son was born, I swore. I picked him up and I said, I'm going to change. I'm going to change my generation so that you don't have to go down the wrong road. My granddad done time, my dad done time, and I done time. So I knew there. I said, if I don't change me, he's going to follow my footsteps. And it was my responsibility to change that. It was my responsibility to turn that generation on its head, do the 180, grab the bull with the horns, and say, fuck this. It's time to change. Someone's got to do this. Someone's going to have the strength. But I knew the work that had to be done. I knew I had to not only change me as a person and what I was doing with the gang and get out of that, I knew I had to change my traits, more importantly. Because if you don't change who you are individually and your internal traits, then you'll just pass them on to the kids and they'll just pass them on. Where does it stop? So I'm the type of person, if I take something up, I want to do it right.
You know? Figure that out, yeah.
Yeah. So, as like you're saying, when I was a soccer player, like you said yourself, even with the gang, I wanted all them affirmations. I wanted to be the best. Well, I wanted to be the same with me, with something that was more important than anything on this planet, was to change my generation. So that when
and be the best dad.
And be the best dad, and be the best husband.
Yeah.
And be the, yeah, you know, because I wasn't. And even though, like, I suppose what I done then was, I met a friend of mine, Mick Akio, he was doing triathlon. And I was just met the right person at the right time. I was looking for something different. I got out of the gang, I paid off my bills.
Take drugs?
Yeah, had to pay off a big bill.
Were you still taking drugs?
No, at that time, I was done. When I swore to my son that day, I said, I swear, I'm going to change this generation. I'm going to be your hero. I didn't know how I was going to be it, but I said, I'm going to change everything. And I'm going to willing to be having nothing. I'm going to start from zero. So I don't care about money anymore. I'm willing to have zero in this life to be your hero.
What sort of incredible resistances did you face when you're trying to make these changes? Because you're having to leave this gang who you've been a part of for so many years. You're having to part the drugs, which have been a significant part of your life for so many years. And all these things are tied up to your identity. And drugs also are an addiction. The gang and the validation, respect from there. There's also perhaps an addiction there from the praise and validation that you receive. So, I mean, it must have been incredibly difficult to make these changes, or was it?
It was and it wasn't, because once I fixate my mindset on something, I'm very strong on it. I've got a good willpower, you know. So once I had my mindset, I set out patterns of what's going to happen. I can think 6 steps ahead, you know, whereas people probably only think what's happening tomorrow. I actually plan things out in my head. Like, I need to do this, need to do that. Sort of small goals towards what I want to do. And I just set out little goals. I'm almost just to meet up with them and say, look, I'm going to do an IRONMAN. My son's just born. It's going to take a little back step. But I knew how to play it, because I knew they would try and trap me into it. So I knew I had to pay the bill that I owed. And I paid that in a very clever manner. I won't go too much into that. But I did pay that off. It was a substantial bill. And once I paid that off, I knew there was no ties. That was my first way, right? The first thing to do was cut the ties. They've no reason then to ring you and knock on your door, because you don't owe them anything other than the friendship, right? I still kept friendship with them. You know, paid the bill, kept friendship with them. Before I knew it, the void that I was there was filled. Once that was filled, I was able to just back off more.
You're just replaced, just like that, yeah.
Just replaced, yeah. But I was still, and still to this day, like, I don't shun anyone. I can't throw stones. You know what I mean? People in Glasshouse shouldn't throw stones. I can't throw stones at people, because I was that person, and I understand that they could be still in the same position I was years ago. So, you know, it would be wrong for me to throw stones at anyone that's in that life now. I will say there's a better life outside of that life, and there is a way out, and it's a more beautiful life, more loving, more fulfilling. Don't look over your shoulder. I'm living my life now, you know what I mean?
You started looking over your shoulder with who was coming up behind you in a run instead now, or who was coming up behind you on a bike or in a swim, yeah?
Yeah.
Looking over your shoulder for different reasons, yeah?
Yeah.
So
who's catching me?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it. But like, you know, it's much better life. Like it's a lot of hard work, but you do need a lot of courage to make that step to get out. Do you know what I mean? It's not easy. Like,
you threw yourself completely into the triathlon or the Ironman was.
Yeah, so that's when I met Mick. That, as you said, I gave up the drugs now, but that became my new drug. Didn't really realise it at the time, but the more I got into that, the more I sort of engulfed myself into that life.
Again, this was a new addiction.
New addiction. Couldn't swim. Never been on a TT bike, but it wasn't about that. It was about the journey and the meeting new people, a new change. I suppose showing me community, showing me wife. Look, I am doing something different. I'm training. But like within 2 months, I was up to 3K, 90K on the bike. I was just every day. So my wife used to say, but you're still not present. You know, like when you were in a gang, you weren't present. I know you changed and you're doing something more positive, but you're still not present. You're still not here in the house. You're still not showing any love. So she didn't see, all she seen was me changing from a gang to something else. She didn't actually see me. I still wasn't there. And I used to say, you're just jealous. But like, again, you don't understand what you're doing. You think you're right. Yeah. And I thought I was right for years with that. Going, you're just jealous. Why are you doing this? Like, I went from being in a gang selling drugs, went from taking drugs, not being here all weekend. Now I'm doing something positive. I'm out on the bike, swimming. What are you talking about? Couldn't understand what she was saying, you know. How wrong was I? You know? And the more work down I got, I suppose, you start realising what she's saying was right. And it's terrible on her, do you know what I mean? Because she knows she's right. And I'm pushing her back on, you're wrong. And when she was really right. So that must be hard on someone's head, you know what I mean? But look, I got into the training, became really good at it. Done my Ironman, first Ironman after 6 or 7 months. Loved it. People said I'd suffer and I didn't. I went looking for the suffering. I was going around shouting, suffering. It's not fucking suffering. You know, I went looking for the pain. I loved the physical pain of it. Loved it. Signed up for Ironman Lanzarote. It's as tough as in the world. I signed up for that for a reason, to see, did I enjoy this and did I have some sort of a talent at this? And if I do, let's see where I can go with it. Done that. Loved it. Again, went looking for the pain. I was happy with the pain, you know. I was happy to push myself, and after that, then I suppose I thought, someone said you could be pro at this, like, and that little boy as well came back to me and said maybe you could, and this time it was in my hands, you know. Whereas when I was a kid, it was taken out of my hands, by, you know, other avenues and other
this
people.
little boy, you're referring to yourself?
Yeah. This little boy, like that time, that was taken out of my hands. I felt that dream was taken from me. This time it's in my own hands, and I can drive this on. So yeah, I looked at doing going for my pro license, and to get your pro license is sub 9:30 in an Ironman. Best at this stage was, I think, 10:40 or 11:40, and I was like, you know, people laughing at me. I was telling people, I was going to the bike shops and all, saying, yeah, I'm going for my pro license, and I got a couple of laughs and a couple of whatever. Couldn't swim, and
good man, you needed those laughs, didn't you? It drove you on, didn't it?
That's it. Like, I mean, my motivation was more, at the start it was like, I've nothing to lose, and the drive was to become a pro, and this was a redemption of what I lost as a kid. So that was a big driving aspect, and then also to show my family I changed, and the community I've changed. I knew if I became pro, they would say, he's changed, you know. So I was looking for that affirmation as well. And then closer to it was like, you know, wouldn't it be great? I heard of a fella, John McAvoy from England, good lad, and he was doing a lot of really good stuff, going to prisons. And I said, wouldn't it be great if I could do this and go into prisons and schools and be able to tell them, look, you can change. There is light at the end of the tunnel. You don't have to be on that path. You know what I mean? There's a better life out there. So that was another motivation factor. And then in October 2022, 22 months after I took up the sport, I done Ironman Barcelona, and I remember standing on the sea, and I just felt the power. I was like, this is gonna happen, you know. I left no stone unturned. I was doing 150k bikes and all sorts of training you shouldn't be doing. I was doing, and And I remember on the finishing of that, it was when you finish an Ironman, there's a red carpet and it's like 10 deep people. It's really right them over moment. And I think about 2 years before that, 2.5 years before that, my family were visiting me in prison, and here they were standing at the red carpet with the barriers, and they had the Irish flag, and I ran over, and it's a moment that that'll stick with me forever. I took the Iron flag and ran down, turned and pointed at the clock. It was a 9:26.
Class.
And I was like, there you go. It was a beautiful moment for not only for me but for my family, and it was very unique. But in such a quick time,
Yeah.
But the measure of my success was also the measure of my hurt, because people looking in go, oh yeah, it's all great, and you're a pro now and all that. And I still had that empty feeling inside of me. That hole was still not filled. As much as I'd done a great thing, and yeah, fair enough, I got out of a gang and I was on this journey and it was a good thing, but I still had a hole there,
There's still the chase for the things on the external. If I become successful in soccer, become successful in this gang, if I become successful in Ironman, then I'll be better. And then you realise, oh fuck, that's not it.
Yeah. And then I was like, got me counselling. I went and got counselling. The counsellor said to me, you're a leaking bucket. Once I get, what I do is I'd done events and I'd be great for a day or two, and then it just leaks because I couldn't hold that confidence, because the self-confidence wasn't there because of the trauma that I've endured.
Well, you're filled up with validation and praise too, aren't you? And then people forget after a couple of days.
Exactly.
And then you're back to, nobody's here actually to give me the attention and love that I want.
Exactly. And that's the thing. You need internal love. You have to love yourself and fill your own hole with your own love and your own validation, your own self-worth, and know who you are and what you're about, and not look for it outside of that. Yeah, it's great when you finish a race, well done, but I don't look for that. I think I don't shun it, but with all due respect, I don't care anymore. Do you know what I mean? I don't do things for that anymore.
That's a very different journey you start to take on then. You start to go within. Yeah. Possibly the most difficult challenge you've faced so far?
That was the toughest thing I've ever to do. Like, over all Ironman and all the challenges I've took, the hardest challenge was to work on myself and peel back that onion and get to the core. I was with a counsellor for a couple of years, and I remember sitting with him going, no, I'm done now, yeah. No, he wasn't, right? But I just didn't want to face up to that one last thing that I knew, the one last thing that was still deep inside of me that was killing me, and that was abandonment trauma. I didn't realise it. That was the biggest thing that I had to face, and to face that I had to let go of the crutches that I was using at the time, and I couldn't even comprehend letting them go. And I'd buried it so deep that I didn't even realise until it was like I was letting the trap door open. I was like, whoa, I'm not ready. And I remember saying to him, I said, look, I'm going to tell you this, but I'm not dealing with it. I'm just telling you. So don't ask me. Please don't ask me to deal with this. And I told him, he goes, right. And in fairness, he said, right, we won't talk about it, but, at least it's the start. And I was like, I'll put it back till January. Not the way you say it.
Yeah.
I hate when people say that. I'll train Monday. Like, fucking train today.
Yeah.
So that was in my head as well, because I'm that person, you know what I mean? And then when I said to him January, I was like, you're full of shit. Like, I was going home going, fucking man up.
Avoidance.
But that voice was in my head going, you need to man up on this. You need to fucking do it. But it was so hard. And I can't say that enough. Like, this was the most difficult thing I've ever had to do. The biggest challenge in my life was to face this trauma. And December. I started in the first week in December, and it was the toughest thing I ever done.
As in December 2023.
What's now 20? What's 24 now?
24 now, yeah.
No, 22.
22.
Yeah,
okay,
because it was a year. It was more than a year. Like, I was of this one issue. Like,
on the abandonment.
On the abandonment, yeah.
Because you were completely abandoned all your life from
your
mum, your father, the love that you never received, yeah.
And I remember leaving one part of the counselling where he said, if you walked into this room now as a kid, what would it look like? And I swear to God, I seen a dead kid walk into the room, like standing in the corner.
Dead?
like just like a spirit, like a dead kid, yeah, like a dead walking dead kid, like. So and that was my vision of me in the corner. You know what I mean? So that was deep for me. Like that's what he said to me. He said, if you walked in now as a kid, 10-year-old kid, what would it look like? And I looked into the corner and my vision was a dead kid. Like a stand up, do you know what I mean?
Why do you think he was dead?
Just lost, abandoned. Yeah. So he said, you have a dead kid inside you. That kid needs to be woke
Starved of love.
Yeah.
Starved of the attachment and connection. And
Yeah. Exactly.
care that he needed. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was heavy, do you know what I mean? For me, because I always felt that. But when you put it into perspective and you actually see it and visualize it, I could see it. And like it was scary, you know what I mean? But
that's what you needed, yeah.
That's what I needed, you know.
Have you been able to bring it back to life?
Yeah, like I'm in a much better place these days, you know. Like, but it's the work I was willing. I remember he said to me, he said, you can have 5 years of hard work, I can have 25 years of hardship, and he said, you'll be on your own. He said, you'll be left on your own, because I was constantly pushing people away. He said, people won't take that. He said, you put the work in now, and you'll have 25, 30 years of happiness. Do you know what I mean? You'll have 5 years of hardship doing this work, but you'll have 30 years of happiness. And it's the best words I ever heard. Because I remember coming home, actually, driving home from the council, and I went into my granddad. He was buried in Balgriffin. I remember going in there, and on his headstone, it was like he was 80 when he died. And I was like, I'm only 41 now, do you know what I mean? I do 5 years, I'll be 45 or something. And then if I lived as long as my granddad, like, that's a lot of time. That's 35 years of happiness. And it was like a meant to be thing, you know?
Yeah.
And then that was it then. I remember seeing that and going, I was calculating in my head, like, I'll do it to 45. Or, sorry, I'm 42 now. Must have been, I was 47 at the time. So I'll do 5 years. I'll have 40 years of happiness.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, that's a lot of happiness. Do you know what I mean? So
have you found it?
Yeah, I've found a lot of happiness now, yeah. I mean, I've done a lot, as I was saying to you earlier, I've done a lot of ayahuasca, I've done a lot of rep A. So I was chasing a lot of stuff for a long time. But recently, I was explaining to you, like, I met a lad in Orberstown, the prison. Sorry, it's actually a detention centre. It's not a prison. I met a guy out there, John Pastor, wonderful guy. He's a beacon of light out there. And I was confiding in him a bit, and he was bringing God into my life. And I never really believed in that. I was like, if there's a God, he wouldn't be putting me through this. If there's a God, I wouldn't be enduring this stuff, you know. But there's a reason we endure all this stuff, you know. There's a reason for all that, and God puts this stuff in our lives to make us stronger down the road, you know. But he was telling me little quotes, and I was going home thinking about them, and eventually then I met another guy, Anthony Brady, in Coolock Running Club, and ended up going to prayer groups with him, and I opened my heart up to it. I opened my heart up to letting God in, and, you know, that peace, and getting him to try and take the burden on me. And I felt in February there a hand on my shoulder, and I actually felt my trauma drop. Like I had a ball of trauma for, I don't know, many years, like many years, and I couldn't get rid of it. I was trying everything, and I actually felt the drop. I still feel the drop here now. It'll always be with me, you know. I always need. My wife tells me you need your itch scratched with something, and that's just true in Jordan sports, and I'm happy to do that, you know. But I have felt the trauma drop massively through trusting in God.
In terms of the endurance sports, that can also, or has also become a crutch to a certain extent. If you were to let that crutch go tomorrow, what would life be like?
I don't know. I am the type of person that I think I'll always have to have something in my life. And if it's not sport, it could be reading, it could be something like breathing, as you were saying earlier. I'll always have something, even a bit of meditation, or have a sauna in the back garden and an ice bath. I will always be involved in something, but it'll definitely be to the extreme. so if I took up ice bathing tomorrow or breathing tomorrow, it'll be every day.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So I think I'll always need something to scratch that itch in my life all the time. And that's just who I am. And I'm
That's
okay
just,
with that.
you just have to accept that as part of your
It's just part of my
personality
DNA,
now. Yeah,
part
okay.
of who I am.
Because a lot of people look at that and say that that's a problem.
Yeah.
That you have to take everything to the extreme. But
that is probably a problem.
that's just, well, maybe it's just
that's
part of your
okay.
characteristic.
Am I okay? I'm okay to live like that. And you know what? It can be a good thing as well, because I don't sit in my arse. And wouldn't it be worse if I sat in my arse doing nothing? Because that can lead to other things, as we all know. If you sit around doing absolutely nothing, sure, what are you called then? And if you listen to everyone and all their points of views and all their opinions, you'll do nothing. So I'm happy to be who I am. I'm happy to follow whatever ways I want to follow to keep me strong, you know. And if it means being extreme at things all the time, I'm okay with that. Because, as I said, I could sit around my arse doing nothing, and then I'd be a wanker as well. People would say, you're sitting on your arse, you know, so you can't please people, you know.
You can't win, man.
Yeah, you can't win.
Yeah. Brilliant, man. You're on an incredible mission as well at the moment in terms of your work that you do in prisons.
Yeah.
Why is that so passionate to you?
It's so passionate because I believe 90% of people who are in prison and the kids who are in Overstown are there because of trauma. Are there because of the things that were put on them by previous generations. And I believe they need the help they need when they're contained. So this is why I reach back, because I want people who are in power to understand and have empathy around that and not punish them. You know, when you get locked up, when you go to prison, you lose your freedom and that's it. Then your human rights come in where you should be reformed. But we're not being reformed. We're not hitting them with the right tools. We're not hitting them with the right services. It's not accessible. And when men are brutal at looking for help, we're brutal, right? But when we do put our hands out, that's the time we need to accept that and take their hands and give them the help they need. And we're just not doing that, you know. I had a good point there the other day. A coach, I can coach. I coach in Overstown and I get 2 kids at a time, right? A counsellor, and I wouldn't knock a counsellor. A counsellor does great work. But a counsellor can take one person, right? And a counsellor will probably charge the IPS, which is the Irish Prison Service, say $100,000 a year. And they can take one person, right? A coach can take 10 people a day. The amount of work, the power of sport can change a life. The amount of work one coach can do with 10 people over a counselling session is massive. And the price doesn't even compare. So why we're not implementing sports within the prisons so they can vent a negative into a positive and get them to set goals, consistency, everything else. Give them the healthy mindset and then they can make the decisions to get the help they need. Why we're not doing that is just, it's unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm going to give a talk today to the Penal Trust Forum over the drug policy. And there's going to be a lot of people there, judges and guards. And I'm hoping someone there can see that the power of sport can change lives and that we should be implementing gyms, but cardio gyms. Look, I get people want to lift weights and all, but I believe cardio is different. When you
get different buzz out of cardio. Yeah,
it's different buzz.
Yeah.
It's the mind. When you go cardio, you're hitting that. You know what I mean? You're overcoming that and you can vent a lot of pain through cardio. Now, as I said to you earlier, it's not the fix because you still have that empty, but you will be in a better place mentally. You'll be physically and mentally stronger. And then you can make the decisions and get strength to get the counselling or psychology. That's what I do.
I love that because that's my sort of belief about training is that it instills confidence and strength within. So then you can take that confidence and strength then to go within and deal with the emotional burdens and struggles that you're holding on to. So
yeah, gives you the power.
My man, possibly one of my most favorite conversations so far, man. So I really love this conversation and I could go on and on for another hour, I'd say. But you're a busy man. You got to go and do the good work you're doing. But for anyone who's listening to this podcast, where can they find you, reach out to you, get in touch, possibly seek your help, your guidance? Let us know. Yeah, so I have a website, gerredmond.com, and I'm on Instagram, gerredmond5. So yeah, reach out if need be. Nice one, Ger. All those links will be in the show notes. Go and check them out. And thanks again, my man. I do feel there's a part 2 here somewhere along the line. So I don't think this will be the last time I'll have you in the studio. So thanks again. Yeah, thanks for giving me the platform. As I said, it's very important that the likes of yourselves and other platforms can create these platforms for us to give these talks. You know, it's very important for people to hear this. Thank you, man. Yeah, thank you for the work you do because, again, you could just take your experience and keep it to yourself. Yeah. and, you know, continue living sort of a private life, but you're putting yourself out there in public to help others. That's very inspirational. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much.